I'm going to play a short clip from Tucker Carlson with Brian Kilmeade sitting in for him and interviewing Alex Berenson, formerly of the New York Times. Come on.
Can our economy afford this policy? And do we have the trillions of dollars we'll need for another coronavirus bailout? Alex Berenson is an author of this book, Unreported Truths About COVID-19 and Lockdowns. Follow his Twitter feed, find out exactly what he thinks. He joins us now. Alex, this didn't work the first time, so we're going back to it?
It's very strange. There's no real evidence nationally or internationally that lockdowns had the desired effect. You can point to countries that didn't lock down, like Japan, where actually the virus is less, hit less hard than almost any other developed country. You can point to countries that locked down early and hard, like Italy, where there was a terrible, spike in virus deaths. Italy has more per capita deaths than the United States, and that's still true. On the state level, that's also true. And so, if we're going to do this, if we're going to try this again, shouldn't there be some evidence that it actually worked the first time?
41 states have an increase in cases. How else would you attack this? These most sophisticated scientific minds say things as basic as wear a mask, wash your hands.
So first of all, 41 states have an increase in SARS-CoV-2 positive tests, okay? That may or may not be clinically relevant. It's clinically relevant if you wind up in the hospital, if you wind up in an ICU, if you wind up on a ventilator, certainly, if you're one of the unfortunate people who dies from this. If you have a positive test, it does not mean any of those things are likely to happen. And in fact, based on what we know now, if you're under 50, the odds that you will die of this, if you get it, based on data from Sweden, 1 in 10,000. Data from the US, 1 in the low thousands. Okay, for most, I'm not even going to say young or middle-aged people who are decently healthy, or not morbidly obese, not really unhealthy. This is something people get through relatively quickly and easily. So the fact that a lot of people are having positive tests doesn't necessarily mean anything. What matters is if hospitals are filling up, if ICUs are filling up, and let's be clear, we are seeing some of that in the Sunbelt states. We're seeing some of it in Arizona, we're seeing some of it in Texas, we're seeing some of it in Florida. But we're not seeing any signs that those hospitals can't manage the surge that we're seeing. And actually, just in the last few days, and I look at this data very, very closely every day, there's some evidence now that in Southeast Texas, which includes Houston, which is 8 million people, Arizona, that's 7 million people. There's some evidence that that there may have been a peak in hospitalizations, and that's come without the hundreds or thousands of deaths that New York City saw in April. It's a much lower number of deaths.
So when people watching us right now are at home go, hey, Alex Berenson, 135,000 people plus died, and we just got this stat, I don't know where it came from, that if we all wear masks, we'll save 40,000 lives. What do you say to them?
I say that there's no real evidence that masks work. Listen, for 20 years, we and the WHO, the CDC, the WHO have come up with a lot of different recommendations for what to do about respiratory virus pandemics, about influenza pandemics mainly. And they did not really recommend masks. You can go look at their recommendations. There is very, very little evidence that masks work. There's even less evidence that lockdowns work. What we should be doing is concentrating on protecting the really vulnerable. That's people in nursing homes, people with serious comorbidities, and standing up our hospitals. And that works. That will help people. That will drive down the death rates in people who do get infected. And that's what we should be focusing on.
So Alex, in other words, what the doctor told us in the spring, we should be doing, not what they told us now in the summer we should be doing. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who is the doctor for 3 presidents, a rear admiral, just won his congressional race, told us today he doesn't wear a mask. He doesn't really recommend you wear a mask. So you can imagine how people watching us right now can say what is the right thing to do and are scratching their head wondering where to go. So we'll continue to monitor it. We'll continue to call on you. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Opening schools is another flash.
Okay, I'll shut it off now with just a couple comments of my own. I live in a senior mobile home court, and I had 2 or 3 months ago, I'm real good friends with all the people and especially the dogs in the park. And 2 or 3 months ago, one of my neighbors suddenly said she didn't want me touching the dog anymore. And so I went along with that. I mean, what can you do? I respect that. I just felt bad about it. The dog would look at me, and I'd look at the dog, you know, all brokenhearted. And then about a week ago, they said I could touch the dog. So we were all schmoozing again. Then I had another neighbor who, yes, I think there was a brief moment when a while back she didn't want me getting too close. And then, oh, it was fine to touch the dog. And then tonight, she said, no more touching Stormy, you know, the big pit bull mix, you know, such a lover dog. So here we go again. And I told her I understood. She's a nice person, a lovely lady. I said, I appreciate you telling me your feelings and don't worry about it. This will blow over. But the point is, there's a lot of anxiety. And in my opinion, it's totally ridiculous. If you look at the lethality of this virus, it's down probably to 0.26. I mean, maybe it's even only 0 or 0.01%. It just keeps going down and down and down as we learn more about it. So, and I've had Hong Kong, London flu. I think I had the swine flu, probably had the Asian flu. I survived all of them, and I seem to be pretty immune. Now I really pretty healthy immune system. And but I worry about, say, the vaccine becoming mandatory, and that's really a serious thing. And I know people that are just waiting. You know, the stock market rallies every time Moderna or one of the other companies comes up with a trial. And this has never been done before. It's never been fast-tracked before like it is now. So, and the way I see it, I say to people who want a vaccine, great, you know, go get your vaccine. Then you're vaccinated, right? You don't have to worry about me. Because if I get sick, you're vaccinated, so why should you worry? But I have a feeling it'll be like the motorcycle helmet. The argument from the state will be you, meaning me, the non-vaccinated person, will become a burden on the rest of society, just as somebody who has a head injury because they're not wearing a helmet. So that will be the excuse to force me to get a vaccine or restrict my movement if I don't have a vaccine. That's the way they'll do it, is where you can't, no vaccine, can't come in here, you got to show your vaccine card. So that's really a serious thing. And I've often, as to the, Berenson didn't mention that the spike in positive testing, I mean, this is so freaking stupid, obvious, that the number of cases are going up roughly in proportion to the numbers of testing, which has spiked. All of a sudden now everybody's doing testing. So hello. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Point in the coronavirus debate, maybe the one you're having